welcome back to your Community Connection Corner here on your Catholic station, Real Life Radio 1380 and 94.9 FM. I'm Jennifer Longworth, joined today by Rebecca Sowell, the Executive Director of Lamplighters of America. Welcome back, Becky.
Thank you so much.
So in the first segment, we talked about the vision of Lamplighters of America and kind of who you are and the essence, the DNA of your organization, if you will. And now we need to know, how can people get involved? What can we do to help? How do you help the community?
Okay, well, I think we should probably just break it down by demographic.
Okay.
So let's start with the nonprofit sector. Psychosocial development, the mental health repercussions of childhood trauma, and the stress response. If anyone who has a nonprofit out there who can see a need for that type of curriculum in their mission, and they've been looking for something, just hit our website, www.lamplightersofamerica.org. Contact Becky on the contact page, and I would love to meet with you, share more, and maybe even, depending on the situation, do a pro bono program for you, just so that you can get a taste and see if it's your fit. Okay? Now, in the general public, right now we're already teaching classes, and it's so exciting. For parents, teachers, coaches, child advocates, 16 years old and up, because we want to make sure we get those teenage parents. And the program, same exact program, and you walk out of there with so many more tools and understanding of how to create really good outcomes in terms of building that foundation under a child, whether you're their parent or their coach or their teacher, and understanding how cracks in a foundation can happen in this curriculum as well. And so the general community, just come to a class, register. Just go to our website and hit schedule a class, and you can look at all of the programs that are available. Currently, we have parents, teachers, coaches, child advocates, Healthy Loving Leads to Healthy Minds, scheduled all the way through September.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Good. So there's plenty of opportunities.
Yes. And it's only $10. And depending on what time you choose, you might get a lunch.
I like lunch.
Yeah. And so now, speaking of the general community, we're always looking for someone to exhibit and pay for lunch.
Oh, so
and get your name out there. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would love for someone to say, I'm in, I'm all in. And what do you want for lunch?
Right.
So yes, absolutely.
That's helpful.
Yes. Now, with regards to the corporate arena, I am 100% all in for doing one or two pro bonos. So if you want something pro bono, let us know now so you can get us in the door. But essentially what we're doing is C-suite HR risk management. We're doing this program. And the twist on this program for corporate is it isn't necessarily directed in terms of how you impact the life of a child. It is how the employee and the people who work for you and on your team have been impacted potentially before they walk through the door of your organization. And by putting the tools in your pocket that you get out of this curriculum, you can sometimes, and everyone's different, and by no means is this a 100% Bible, so to speak, for understanding behavior, but you can get an idea of what your employees need if they're stuck, and if they have difficulty with coping with constructive criticism or redirection, or they have behavioral issues in terms of lateral violence and bullying in the workplace. There is reasons behind all that. 60% of Americans self-report a past history of child abuse and or a difficult family circumstance. That is 6 out of 10 employees that walk into organizations who carry a heavy bag. And as you age, it only gets heavier if you don't figure out how to, for the lack of a better analogy, unpack it, fold it up, and put it back in, because you can't get rid of it. It's part of you. But you can fold it back up and put it in a space so that you make more room in that bag.
Or roll it up.
Yeah.
That's more specific.
Exactly. Exactly. But this is, that's what we need in terms of corporate America. Contact us. Let us come in. I'd love to do even just a small program just for the leadership to see if it's something that they think would be good for them. And then just let it go throughout the organization.
And would this be something that employees would do too, or just the management to understand the employees?
I think that it would really need to be the leadership's decision as to whether or not they felt that it would be good for the employees. I personally think that it would be good for employees. It would probably have a little bit more of the parent, teachers, coaches, child advocates, because they're not leading others in the corporate workplace if they're not managers and leaders. But the whole point of this entire curriculum is in nonprofit, the general community, and in corporate America, is if we can improve our understanding of how trauma works in children and how that goes into adulthood, then we empower ourselves to potentially manipulate our behavior. Even just a small tweak makes a huge impact in your relationship, not only with your employees at work and the teams you lead, but if that employee or that team member at work becomes happier and more productive and more confident, they're a different parent at home. They're a different intimate partner at home. And that's what it's all about, is quality of life and improving and making the best solid foundation we can in our own lives so that we live a happier life, you know?
And one thing I thought interesting when you said trauma, you also said difficult life circumstances as a child. And some of us will fall in that category.
Absolutely.
More, a sick parent or a divorce, or, something that wasn't necessarily physical or emotional abuse, if you will, but just a difficult life circumstances, which fills up the bag.
Exactly.
Which, thinking about it in that terms, because some people would be like, oh, I wasn't abused, I didn't have this, but there still appears to be an underlying issue of some sort. Learning these things can help uncover that. Now, you're not a psychologist with, trying to shrink people, all that crazy stuff, but, just teaching skills and stress responses is one of the big things, because we all experience stress, and how we react to it affects everybody around us.
Exactly. And it's important that everyone understands that Lamplighters of America does not treat people. We are healthcare professionals educating communities. But when you leave our program, you leave with a list of resources if you want to follow up and if you want to talk. I think the number one things that people who do have a history of a difficult family circumstance in their childhood or abuse in their childhood, oftentimes people minimize that and feel, oh, so many people had it so much worse than I did.
Right.
And that's just the continued pattern of poor patterns of thinking that you're not worthy enough of something better. Yeah.
And that's a trap a lot of people fall into, and you don't even realize that it's happening.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And it's so important as well that we somehow get past the mental health aspect of it and the stigma. Because I'm here to tell you from my own personal experience, every single time that you let a story that occurred in your past, even with all the emotion that it comes with in the beginning, every single time you let it pass your lips, the power within that is reduced. Each time you tell your story, it becomes more in the realm of memory without the emotion. And the fear is gone and the anxiety is gone, and it just becomes a memory. And that's where we want our painful experiences
Right.
We just want them to be memory without fear and emotion. And then we want to turn it into good, which is what this whole thing is all about.
Yeah, and kind of rewiring your brain.
It really is. It really is. And there's so much literature out there about post-traumatic stress, and that's essentially what we're talking about in experiences. And I'm not saying by any means that people who have negative experiences have post-traumatic stress, but there are pathways of thinking with situations that may remind you of things that happened in your past.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're reacting in a way that you actually caught yourself off guard as to, why did I react like that? And then when you actually can go back, if you have the tools and or if you're in touch with yourself enough, you're able to say, that's why that happened. But a child who has multiple traumatic experiences, or they live in toxic stress, and that's a big hot key word right now, is toxic stress in children. There's a lot of stuff going on right now about that. Then you can't put it to one instance.
Right.
You can't say, oh, well, that's because my mom and dad fought that evening and they're fighting and that reminds me of this. It isn't like that when you have repeated trauma as a child, if you live in a toxic environment with domestic violence every day or something like that. Because you can't just put one incident.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're about out of time, Becky.
Okay.
But as you close up again, tell people how to get in touch with you, how to register for your classes.
Yes. The website, www.lamplightersofamerica.org. Register for a class. Donate. Oh my gosh, donate. We definitely need money. We need money for sure, because we are getting ready to put our boots on the ground in corporate America with regards to our marketing package, and that costs money.
Of course.
And I, as my husband bites his nails, I dove into this nonprofit and school full time. So I quit my paid job in April to dive in as the full-time volunteer executive director. And so I'm hoping that maybe by the end of the year, we will have a grant and other types of income from our corporate sector to feed the mission in the street. So that's what we're looking for. And so that's what we need. We need people to come to our classes, and we need invitations to corporate America and donations, and just a love for improving the quality of life through health education.
Again, lamplightersofamerica.org.
Org.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Becky, for joining us, and we look forward to having you on Diocese Live on a monthly basis and learning more.
Thank you.
This has been your Community Connection Corner here on your Catholic station, Real Life Radio 1380 and 94.9 FM, WMGR, Nicholasville, Lexington.